Colorado just wrapped up their first preseason scrimmage. Brian, obviously the story of today is an unfortunate one for CU. JT Shrout had his knee buckle, had to leave the field. Carl Durrell said they don't know the severity of the injury. It didn't look good, but we just don't know at this point.
Yeah, right now it's purely speculation. I mean, he goes down, and you can hear him audibly, kind of screaming and in pain, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's severe, that it's an ACL or something like that. I mean, you can hyperextend a knee. Total speculation at this point. Hopefully it's not that bad, but certainly, it thrusts Brendon Lewis more into the spotlight. I mean, he is in the spotlight, but this competition right now is not a competition. Without JT Shrout, it's Brendon Lewis, and all of a sudden you've got to make sure that Drew Carter, maybe even Jordan Wolverton are ready to go if needed.
On the bright side of that, Brendon Lewis did have a good day today. He was very efficient. I think if he is the starting quarterback this season, my guess is it's going to be kind of a ball control type of offense. And if they're going to take shots deep, it's going to be because the ground game's successful and they're sucking in the defense. But overall, I was pleased. The problem here, though, Brian, and again, we can't get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's all hypothetical at this point. But if Shrout is not able to be participating as the backup quarterback at least this year, then you can't run Brendon Lewis the way you would if you had JT Shrout on the sideline.
Yeah, it probably totally changes what your plans were with him, and certainly that's probably something we get more into when we get a solution on JT Shrout. But yeah, if he's not in there, all of a sudden, does that running element come out? Do you take that out of the lineup, with JT or with Brendon Lewis? So he can do it, but do you want to, have that in the playbook for Brendon Lewis? Stumbling over my words right now, but it changes a lot of things. I mean, this season this whole offseason has been geared towards these two guys competing for the starting job, and now if you lose one of them, it totally changes things.
And that was the one thing when Sam Noir decided to transfer. You said it's good for the team as long as one of those two guys doesn't get hurt. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Maybe it's not that severe. So let's focus on the things we know. And the thing we know the most right now is Jarek Broussard is really good at football.
He is really good at football. And, we were talking about this earlier. I mean, you have to sort of take today with a grain of salt. There were so many guys out. Nate Lamon, Carson Wells, Robert Barnes. None of these guys played today. But Jarek Broussard, the first two carries, 66-yard touchdown run and then a 42-yard run. So,
they messed with his average. I said at that point, stop running the guy. He had a couple more runs in there. I think he still averaged close to 30 yards per carry today.
Yeah, I think he had a total of 4 or 5 carries and he rushed for about 113 yards. So, yeah, he's in top form. And asked Dimitri Stanley about him, and he's like, the dude's just this good, and he's really fun to watch. And he certainly looks in midseason form and looks faster without that brace.
Carson Wells was one of the guys out defensively. I think just for precautionary reason, there's no reason for Carson Wells to be out there. Yeah. Guy Thomas flashed a little bit out there running with the first team defense at outside linebacker.
Yeah, he really did. And they need some of those guys to step up outside of Carson Wells. And I thought Guy Thomas looked really good. Jamar Montgomery had a couple nice plays. And Joshua Gustav didn't flash much to me today, but we've seen him do that in the past. So if you've got 3 guys there that can play, that group looks pretty solid.
With Brady Russell and Matt Lynch not participating, we saw a lot of different guys rotate through there at tight end. Alec Pell had a couple catches, including a nice touchdown where he showed some aggressiveness to get in the end zone. And then Jared Poplowski, the feel-good story for today, a guy that's dealt with so many injuries. And, frankly, most guys would not continue to try to play football had they dealt with the injury path that Jared Poplowski has, especially how loaded that tight end room was, but had a nice little touchdown there today. And so I want to see him in a game make that play because the young man deserves to have a moment like that here at CU.
He does, and it's somewhat surprising he's still here. Not only, like you said, trying to play football still, but with the loaded tight end room, he thought maybe if he's healthy, maybe go somewhere else where he could maybe be higher on the depth chart and play. But he stuck it out here, and so it was nice to see that. He's been through a lot. You want to see feel-good stories like that. Jarek Broussard was a feel-good story last year, coming back from 2 ACLs. Well, Jared Poplowski, I think it's 2 ACLs. I think it's a shoulder. I don't think he's played a game since 2017. So, to see him do that. So far, that's his highlight in the CU uniform, but you would like to see that in a game.
Another guy coming back from injury, Deion Smith, was out there and flashed a little bit. I think you can tell he's still kind of working that rust off. He's got the knee brace on, kind of like Broussard did last year, but He's a good athlete, and it was a guy that was there competing for a starting job until he suffered that injury.
Yeah, and he's a pretty talented running back. We often forget about him because you've got Broussard, Fontenot, and Rashad Clayton. There's so much focus on them, but Deion Smith's pretty good. Joe Davis, had a nice little leap there today. Yeah. Jaylee Stacks ran hard and had a nice catch out there as well. So this is a pretty good running back group, but Deion Smith is part of that. He's very talented, and if he can get things going, that's all of a sudden a fourth, maybe fifth type of guy that can run the football.